see who's here, and then when you go home next month on Monday, you make a few telephone calls to your friends and tell them about this meeting. I think it would be good. If you have a lot of friends, most of them feel like you do, probably, and it would be a big help. We meet here every Monday, the first Monday of the month. If you're not haven't been coming before, and I've been here since 5 o'clock, and make sure everything is ready. I'm one of the pastors here. I'm not preaching anymore. I'm 83 years old, and I can still walk without this. My son daughter would holler, "Get your cane, get your cane." But I do carry it when I go outside. But normally I don't walk with it in the house. But we're here to have a good time. Open our hearts to what's going to be said. Take the good. I suppose that would be a good way to put it. Take the good and leave the bad. If there is any bad. I don't think there will be. Let's stand and bow our heads in prayer. And after the prayer, we'll do the pledges to the flags. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight realizing that we are a living word. We'd ask, Lord, that thou would bless those that have come out tonight to hear what has to be said. May we act accordingly to what is best for our nation, our country, even our city. We'd ask, Heavenly Father, that thou would open our hearts now, guide and direct us and watch over us. Be with each speaker and give him what you would have him to say, and we'll listen and obey. We ask these things in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus. Amen.
If you join me in the pledge to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now I pledge the flag of the great state of Texas. Add the words up there and the flag right here. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. You can have those seats. Good evening. For those that haven't met me, I'm Jeremiah Hunter, the chairman of Longview We the People Tea Party, and thanks everyone for coming out. I guess maybe tonight's a little bit of a thinner crowd, a bit of a Super Bowl hangover, but appreciate everybody coming out tonight. We're very pleased to have Judge Tim Bryan with us tonight to talk about the justice court system, so I look forward to hearing about that. That's something I personally don't know much about, so I look forward to learning more about that. We also are blessed to have tonight two other folks who wanted to come introduce themselves to you guys, and I'm first going to call up Jose Melendez. He's with Project Blueprint, or Public Blueprint, sorry about that. And he is going to just mention something real quick, and then I'll come back up and get Rebekah up here in a second. So, Jose, come on up.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, Jeremiah, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. How many of you have ever attended a Republican state convention? Good. We need to see more hands in the future. So at the Republican State Convention, that's where we as party activists and those who are very involved in the party apparatus get our chance to voice our opinions as to where the party needs to go and what issues we want to support. And, you know, as a Republican Party of Texas, our platform is very conservative, and that's a testament to our grassroots and the activists who are, you know, working to make our party better and our state better. I want to talk to you today about one very specific plank on our platform. It's called direct sales. So direct sales basically says that you, the consumer, should be able to buy your vehicle directly from the manufacturer. As it stands right now, we currently have outdated laws that have been on the books for a few decades now, I think nearly been half a century, that says that you have to buy your new vehicle from a third party, in other words, a middleman. That's not the way the free market's supposed to work. You know, free market's supposed to be open competition, where anyone can choose, you the consumer can choose to buy your vehicle the way you want it, just like you can buy any other product. You can buy it directly from the manufacturer, or you can buy it from a third party. In Texas, you can't right now. If you wanted to, you know, if a manufacturer wanted to sell directly to you, they can't. They're prohibited by law. You know, we in Texas like to say that we're wide open for business, and that's mostly true, but not when it comes to this issue. In fact, we're only one of 4 states that doesn't allow for free market direct sales. So I encourage you to look up this issue. It'll be coming up as a plank on our party's platform this summer at our state convention. If you have any questions about this issue, please come see me after the meeting. Thank you.
And I'm glad he was mentioning the state convention. So our meeting next month, we're going to be doing a party convention process overview, I guess we'll call it. And for those of you who know me, I've been through that the convention process twice now, and so I'm going to be doing a little bit of an overview just to kind of remind everyone what the process looks like, because with next month, our meeting is going to be the night before the party primary elections, and then for the Republican precinct conventions are going to be that following Saturday. I believe that is the 10th. Saturday the 10th, I believe it is. So anyway, so next month on that Monday night, we'll get a reminder of kind of how all the convention process works, why it's very important to go to even the precinct convention, and then of course the county and state conventions. So that will be next month. What I wanted to mention real quick is we have an email sign-up list. For those of you that aren't on it, we have a sign-up list in the back there. That is one of the best ways that we get information out about upcoming meetings and other items of interest that are coming up. If you'd like to sign up for it, there's a list at the back, on the back wall, and then also out in the hallway. We also have donation boxes that are on the other side of the doorway there. If anyone would like to shoot us a couple of dollars, we would be appreciative. This group runs entirely on donations. Nobody receives any payment for doing what they do, but we still have some fixed costs of operations, such as our website and things like that. And so if you want to help us out with that, we'd really appreciate it. There's actually 2 boxes there. One box is for our group, and then clearly it will be others for the church. The church doesn't charge us to be here, but if you would like to bless them for them helping us out with providing a place to meet, there's a separate box marked for them as well. Let's see. I'm going to bring up Rebekah Warwick next, before I finish up my announcements. Rebekah is the new regional coordinator for Heritage Action for America. I think most of you are familiar with Joseph Wade Miller, who was the previous regional coordinator, and he went to work for the Senator Ted Cruz campaign this past year, and Rebekah has come in the last couple of months to replace him. So I wanted to have her come up and introduce herself real quick and to speak for a couple minutes on what Heritage has been doing and what she's doing here as well. And while she's coming up, she will be our featured speaker at our April meeting, and she'll give a more full presentation, but I wanted to have her up here for a few minutes.
Thank you, Jeremiah. It's really great to be here. So yes, I am the new Wade Miller. He will tell you that I'm much prettier than him, and he is right. I have been with Heritage Action for 4 years. I actually started as the Denver Regional Coordinator, and then through marriage and a couple moves, and Wade leaving, ended up down here in Grand Prairie, Texas, about 3.5 months ago. I'm very excited to be here. Texas really is big. I always thought you guys were just kind of like, oh, everything's bigger than Texas. It's like, oh, whatever. No, it's really true. But it's so awesome to be here and just to meet everybody and just how amazing you all are committed to freedom down here, more than any other state I've ever traveled to. You can really sense it. So I'm excited to be down here. For those that may not be as familiar with Heritage Action, we are the sister of the Heritage Foundation. We're here to hold Congress accountable and hopefully influence them to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. So we have a scorecard online at heritageaction.com that just got released. It ranks all 530 members of Congress based on their votes. Currently, Congressman Gohmert's at 90%. We have a very tough scorecard, so being above like a 70 is really good. So he's one of the top guys in the House. You should be super proud of him, and it's amazing just to see his leadership in the House. So keep encouraging him, because even those really good guys, they face a lot of pressure in the swamp. They face a lot of pressure from leadership, from special interest groups, even from people back home. So what you're doing here in Longview and throughout the district is making sure that he knows that everything he's doing that's right, that you support it, both, telling him thank you personally, but also thank you publicly. We focus on accountability, like I said, so we have a weekly phone call, a weekly update that I send out via email of what's going on in Congress this week, this month. Most recently, it's immigration, back on the table. Democrats had a little shutdown, showdown a few weeks ago, and they lost that. Now funding is set to expire on the 8th. It looks like there's going to do a clean CR through March 22nd and get it past the DACA deadline of March 5th, which means hopefully it takes the leverage off the table where Democrats can't threaten another shutdown because of immigration. The biggest thing we need to be hammering as conservative activists is making sure chain migration stays on the negotiating table. That's something that needs to be ended today. It needs to be part of any immigration deal that's going to happen, because that is one of our biggest problems with our system, where it's the luck of having a random relative here in the country that got a green card, and then they can sponsor somebody, and then they can sponsor somebody else, and then pretty soon you have an entire family and community coming here to our country. It doesn't make sense for our American citizens, 320 million of them here, to have that kind of system. So please be encouraging Congressman Gohmert as well as your senators, because they need accountability too, that as they're looking at the DACA deals, that we keep chain migration in this package, that whatever happens, we want them to end it and start changing our system that benefits American citizens, not special interest groups. If you want more information, you can go to heritageaction.com. I'll be here the rest of the evening. I have business cards. Be happy to talk with you afterwards, and I look forward to seeing you all in April. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rebekah. Before we bring up Judge Bryan, I just wanted to address something really quickly that I was made aware of mid to late last week. I posted about it on our Facebook page. For those of you that are on Facebook, please make sure and go and like our page. And I try to keep it updated at least every couple of days with some sort of items of interest. There's a movement going around right now called culture of voting. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about it, but basically within the public school system, the teachers unions and the so-called associations, which in Texas, if you don't know, if you see a word association, just substitute it for union, it's the same thing. Where these public education associations, some of the various, like the teachers associations, the superintendents associations, the administrative professionals associations, everything, they are all working together to use public money to influence elections in the Democrats' favor. Now, I have to constantly hammer that we are a nonpartisan group. However, we are about accountability, and it is against the law to use public money to try to influence an election for either party. So if the Republicans were doing it, I'd be up here saying the same thing. Now, for some strange reason, Republicans don't hardly ever try to do stuff like this, because it's usually the party that does mostly the right thing. But for some reason, it's the Democrats that are always trying to break the law. I don't know how that works. This whole memo thing. I'm just a dude here, but I can see what's going on in front of me. That was me trying to be funny, because it's actually not funny at all. Breaking the law and trying to use public money to influence elections is extremely serious. And so I was just made aware of it, or rather the seriousness of it this past week. The reason it's important to bring it up now is because both the White Oak and Pine Tree school boards recently passed resolutions in favor of this so-called culture of voting. But let me tell you what's serious about culture of voting. It's what it is all these associations working together to get their constituents, if you want to call it that, basically all the people in those associations. So we're talking about teachers, we're talking about the administrative people, the superintendents, all of those, to vote together as a block in favor of Democratic candidates or voting, crossing party lines to vote in Republican primaries for moderate candidates. And the reason that they're using public money, or the reason why we know they're using public money, is because what happens is, so they're passing out a certain website to all of their members, and they're saying, hey, go to this website and learn about this culture of voting. And they couch it in terms of saying, oh, well, we're just trying to help increase voter turnout, which is a good thing. We all need to work together to increase voter turnout, especially in a midterm election. Turnout is usually historically much lower, and so we do need to work together to increase turnout. But here's the problem: that website that everyone, by everyone I mean all the teachers and the public school employees, the website is redirecting to a Democrat Party website, and so it's there. All the recommendations that they're getting are for what to do for voting in these voting for Democrats in general elections. And even such tactics as voting in Republican primaries, even somebody who's historically not a Republican, going to vote in a Republican primary for these more moderate or even straight up liberal people running as a Republican. So that's why it's using public money, because they're using association fees, which are paid for out of the salaries of these public school employees, which is of course taxpayer money. So these people are using taxpayer money to try to influence elections, and that's completely against the law, both federal and state law. And so that's something I wanted everyone to be aware of. I did post about it. The Pine Tree School Board does meet next Monday, or at least historically they meet on the second Monday of the month. I need to verify that that is the case. And we need to have some people over there to speak against this. I'm even thinking about trying to get there myself. I was already booked for something else, but the more I've become aware of the seriousness of this nature, once I verify if the school board is indeed meeting next Monday, because sometimes they cancel at last minute, but if they're voting next week, or I should say if they're meeting next week, need to have some people there to be speaking against this, because this is, I mean, again, it's well, let's just not be nice about it. Let's say what it is. It's criminal, and I'm not saying that the Pine Tree School Board members are criminals. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they need to be aware that what they have approved is a criminal enterprise. So let's make sure and be clear about what that is. I do live in the Pine Tree School District, so you know I feel like I have a dog in that fight. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I'll be trying to get more information out as time goes on. So without any further ado, I want to bring up Judge Tim Bryan. He's the Precinct 2 for Gregg County Justice of the Peace, and he's going to be talking to us about justice court system in Texas. So please welcome Judge Bryan.
All right, good evening. Tim is in the back, and he's going to help me with my PowerPoint. So, my name is Tim Bryan. I'm the judge in the Precinct 2 Justice Court, which is in the west side of Longview in the Pine Tree area. I know Israel graduated from Pine Tree. He still lives there. How many of you live in Pine Tree? All right, so I'm in the Rock building on Highway 80 where you vote and get your tags, and I replaced Judge Fort 3 years ago when he retired. So, Tim, if you would please, thank you. What is the Justice Court? Jeremiah didn't know when we had some discussions about it. And ironically, we were in Austin. I was in Austin last year for JP and Constable's Day at the Capitol, and we met with Nathan Hecht, Chief Justice Hecht, with the Supreme Court. And he related to us, the judges and constables that were there that day, he related to us that 90% of court cases heard in Texas are heard on the JP and the municipal court level. So that means that only 10% go to higher courts, like the district courts or family courts or the county courts. So what that says to me is 90% of the cases are heard in justice court and municipal court. So it was constitutionally formed, the justice court was, to make justice accessible to the common man. It truly is the people's court. And so I think that that's very important in my mind to daily try to remember that we all need justice. People need justice, and sometimes the threshold for justice court is below $10,000. So any kind of dispute that you have below $10,000, then that is it can be held in justice court or heard in justice court. So with that, I get a lot of different cases. I've had cases about over a dog dispute, who owned the dog. I've had cases, I had a man one time that wanted his engagement ring back because it didn't work out, and he felt it was a contract, and so he sued the girl that he had given the engagement ring to, but he canceled he dismissed the case because they got back together. So it really is sometimes humorous because it could be anything. People can sue anyone for anything in small claims court. So we'll go over some more of that. So what is justice court? This is just an explanation from the Texas Justice Court Training Center. We hear misdemeanor cases punishable by fine, and hear most civil cases which the amount does not go over $10,000. Magistrate functions, and then inquest where someone passes away not in the hospital or under a doctor's care. We go out and respond to that. I issue warrants for search and arrest functions. Civil process, preliminary hearings, administer oaths to people. I recently went to Pine Tree just a few months ago to the school board and swore in some of the new board members. In counties where there's no medical examiner, it's a population issue, like in Dallas County, Harris County, Bexar County, they have medical examiners' offices, but here, the JP acts as, in rural Texas, which is considered that, for this, the Justice of the Peace is the medical examiner, acts as a medical examiner. All right, Tim, next slide, please. I started my career in public service, working at East Texas Medical Center. I worked on an ambulance and for a few years before I got into police work in '94. I can see it up there, I'm sorry. In '94, I became a licensed Texas peace officer. I started out at the constable's office in Lindale. That's where I grew up, and I worked at the Lindale Police Department. I came to Kilgore in 1996 and worked at the Kilgore Police Department, and there I met Maxie Serliano, our elected sheriff, or the elected sheriff in Gregg County. And so when he was elected sheriff in 2001, I came with him to the sheriff's office, and I left just right before I took office as the judge in Precinct 2. I left in 2014 as the administrative captain in the sheriff's office, and I spent several years, as you can see, with the Federal Bureau of Investigation on a violent crime squad that we investigated violent crimes all over East Texas. And I'm married to my wife, Tina Ann Moody Bryan. We got married in 2002. Tim, next slide, please. On the left is the judge in the Precinct 5 in Smith County, Judge Cowart. He was one of my mentors when I was younger, and here's my lovely bride. We were out at an event at Mont Cobb. Tim, next slide, please. Now, when I've done this before, people fussed about, well, you don't have, where's your pictures of your kids? Well, our kids have fur and 4 legs, my wife says. When my father-in-law passed away, he had 2 dachshunds. We had 2 dachshunds. So when he passed away, we had 4 dachshunds. Then my wife wanted to get a German Shepherd because she had that motherly instinct when her father passed away, and so we got a German Shepherd. And then the cat that's in my lap is Oreo. My wife's family owns the butcher shop here in Longview. Y'all eat there? My wife's family owns a butcher shop. They've had it 35 years here. And I found Oreo by the dumpster at the butcher shop. And he hadn't quit eating since he got to the house. So he's kind of just a big old trash cat. And all the 4 dachshunds are there on the couch, as well as the German Shepherd. And then we met with Colonel West when he was up in Gilmer a few months ago. So we got a chance to go up there and meet with him. All right, next slide, Tim, please. What does the judge do? We talked about inquests. I have about 60 to 70 times a year that I go out on inquest when someone passes away, whether it be the scene of a crime. The one up top is a murder scene that I worked, and then the one on the bottom is an accident scene where a gentleman was working on a car and he didn't have it properly secured and it rolled on him and he passed away. So about 60 or 70 times a year, I have the opportunity to visit with people about those things. And really, next slide, please, Tim. This is also this is on the loop behind the. We had snow, I think last year before last, and it snowed really bad, and someone had ran from the police, breaking into a pawn shop over there by Best Buy, and they found him in the snow. He froze to death in the snow after he ran from the police. So Anyway, so it could be a wide variety of things, whether it's criminal acts or natural deaths or accidents. So we respond to assist law enforcement and to help determine the cause of death. Next slide, please. We, justices of the peace, do marriages and other ceremonies. I had a hot balloon wedding. Somebody got married in a hot balloon. Well, they got married on the ground, and then they went up in the hot balloon, or the hot air balloon. So you folks from out of town, y'all, the hot air balloon culture is crazy in Longview. We have a huge event every year at the airport, which I've worked for many years with the sheriff's office. It's the Great East Texas Balloon Race, and there'll be tens of thousands of people come to the airport. And when you get up in the morning, the funny part, I think, you know it's balloon time because you'll see 100 balloons in the air over Longview. How many of y'all see balloons? All of you are shaking your head. So, and they have, I don't know if you know, they have those special shape balloons too, that the Friday before the balloon race, they'll have it at strategic locations throughout Longview and Hallsville, and they'll have a lot of different things like that. So, also doing some marriages, and then also I had the opportunity to speak at the East Texas Police Academy at one of their graduations, so that was very great honor for me. Next slide, please, Tim. I get to administer oaths. A couple of those are one Longview officer and one Kilgore officer. I didn't administer the oath on the left, but I'm proud of my brother. He is a University of Texas policeman, and he's assigned over to the health center campus over in Tyler. So I got to be there when he got sworn in, and I think, yeah, both of my parents are dead, and both of our parents have passed away, and that's the Bible that my parents got on their wedding day. It was a gift on their wedding day, and I used it when I got sworn in, and I brought it when he did too. So, next slide, Tim. I got sworn in on January the 1st, 2015. Next slide, please. A few things that we did when I took office. The office hadn't been painted in a while, so we did some different paint and texturing on the walls. We painted and refinished the desk owned by the county since the 1960s. Working for the sheriff for many years, he preached to us every day about being a good steward of the tax dollar. And in public money, that word public money, that just, like Jeremiah said, that's just tax dollars. And so, along those lines, I saw this desk when I went in, and soon after I took office, one of Judge McKinney's sons came in. Do y'all remember Judge McKinney? Anybody? He was the judge for 30 years and 5 days. He died in his 31st year on January the 5th when he was in office. And so he was there in Gregg for over 30 years. Henry McKinney was his name. His son came in shortly after I took office and showed me some pictures of his dad sitting at that desk. So I knew it would be very important for me to get that desk refinished and continue to allow it to serve the citizens of Gregg County. Sometimes I sit at the desk and I think, I wonder how many good stories there have been or how many disputes have been settled. I hear people all the time tell me, well, Judge McKinney fined me $5 for speeding, or he did this, or he helped us do this. And so his memory is still very vivid in the Gregg and Pine Tree area, so it's an honor for me to sit at that desk. The desk was now all the painting and then the refinishing of the desk. Again, working for the sheriff's office, we learned to use inmate labor for things like that. And we have, you'd be surprised. I've worked inmates. There's been some inmates that have painted every every building that the county owns. There's construction people in jail, painters in jail, so there's no reason not to use that labor for the betterment of the county, for the betterment of the citizens. Go ahead, Tim. This is the old desk, and then the next slide. You'll see the new desk and the credenza. The desk and credenza have been refinished, and they're both in really great shape, and it's an honor to sit at them. Next slide. We did some texturing on the walls. We had the old paneling that had been painted white probably 20 years ago, so we did some painting and got that looking nice. And I bought that seal. I didn't have a seal for the courtroom, so I bought that seal from a metal, like a laser metal guy that did it, and I think that turned out nice. Next slide. So some different things that we did. We had a lot of, not that Judge Fort was bad. He did the job for many, many years, but he didn't have a computer. And so we know that so many things now are paperless and computer generated. And so we started doing our calendar a lot different, not wasting or not killing trees doing it, and we started using technology to our advantage. I use a I use some iPad technology for signing warrants and for doing some scene investigations to where I can send paperwork electronically to our medical examiner when we need to do an autopsy, instead of trying to give some paper that might get lost or that might get dirty or something like that. So we've done a lot of generated or reduced a lot of duplicated paperwork. Next slide, Tim. In 2016, just in one precinct, just in precinct 2, which how many do you know how many precincts are in Gregg County? Now, not the voting precincts, but there's 4 commissioner precincts, and in every commissioner precinct, there is a justice of the peace and a constable. And so, in our precinct, in precinct 2, in 2016, we had 795 civil cases. That included 464 evictions, 210 debt claim cases, 85 small claims cases, 970, well, you can see the numbers, criminal cases, emergency mental health hearings, when someone is at the hospital and they're in a suicidal state or a state that they want to hurt themselves. That's something that we have to have a hearing about immediately. And those don't happen from 8 to 5. You know, someone is not going to be in crisis or have an accident. Usually those things happen at 2 o'clock in the morning. And so it's, oh, and that year, in 2016, I had 53 death inquests. As a police officer and as an investigator for over 20 years, I hated waiting. I don't think I should have to wait on, I don't like going to the post office or to the tax office because you got to wait. And I don't think it's right for me. I've been on scene before where we had to wait on the judge. And then we had to wait on the funeral home. And those, when those officers are on the scene having to wait, then they're not out working the case that they can be working, not interviewing people, and not doing the things that they need to do. So I pride myself, I set my clothes out every night in anticipation that I might get called out. In those 53 death inquests in 2016, again, they're 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, some of them are during the day, but I had about a 12-minute average response time because sometimes you got to wash your face while you're driving down the road, but you just get it done. You got to get it done, I think, because it's important that those officers continue to work and do the job that they need to do. Next slide, please. You can see that we had almost 300 compliance dismissals, which means people took defensive driving or things like that, were on a deferred sentence. I saw about close to 350 jail inmates. That's another thing that the Justice of the Peace does, is they set bonds or magistrates inmates when they're in jail. We issued 655 warrants and collected almost $250,000, or over $250,000 by our office. Next slide, please. This is 2017. Our evictions were down a little bit. We saw a rise in them the year before in 2015 because of the oil industry hit that we kind of took. So we can see that that's picking up a little bit, and the economy's a little better, I think. And so that's a little less. We also have jury trials. Sometimes you may not realize that, but when y'all go to the 188th District Court for your jury service, sometimes we may have a JP trial, which could be an eviction or a traffic ticket. So everybody has their right to a jury, even on the misdemeanor cases. Next slide, please. More compliance related dismissals. Our warrants picked up a little bit. And we saw more inmates. Since I worked with the sheriff for over 20 years, when he needs an inmate out of jail, if an inmate's in the hospital or sick, sometimes I know he calls me. Not a whole lot, but we do that a lot. We work well together because I did work with him and know him for so long. So, and also we collected close to about the same amount this last year. Next slide, please, Tim. Tell me I'll forget it, show me I may remember, but involve me and I'll understand. I really like that Chinese proverb because I think involvement really is important. Next slide, please. A lot of things that I do, early on when I took office, one of the biggest things we do is eviction cases. And so a lot of times people come in and they want to know what their rights are in eviction cases. Maybe the landlord comes in. Maybe the tenant comes in. What surprised me was there are a lot of landlords who sometimes don't do the right thing. Now, I expected that would have been 20 or 30 years ago because the laws were different, but still today there's people that sometimes don't do the right thing. And so not only is justice court there for the landlord to get the possession of the property back, But I feel that justice court is also there to provide justice and a means for those people who are wrongfully evicted to have their cases heard as well. In police work, I never had to know what the civil law was. I knew nothing about evictions before I took office. And when I learned that, I thought, I need to speak with other officers, because I'm sure they're in the same boat. They don't know what to tell people when they respond out to a landlord-tenant dispute, and they will tell them, "Oh, just go see the JP, just go see the judge." So I've started a program with the Longview Police Department. They have annual recurrent training, and so I speak to every Longview police officer about evictions and about the timeline, so that they can provide good customer service. I know sometimes people don't think about police work like that, but I feel if someone calls the police, you need to feel as though you got a good customer service issue out of them. And if you don't, then I don't think they're doing their job. We work also closely with the Longview Apartment Association, the Housing Authority, again, to make sure people know what their rights are, and make sure that people know what they can do, what they can't do, and then also the landlord-tenant issues. Next slide, please. Here's just I got to meet with the governor before, and of course, Congressman Gomett's always around. When I was in college, he was a judge over in Tyler. So I remember when he started as a judge over there. Next slide, please. This is some more, I was talking over here at the Longview Police Department at one of their training events, and then I swore in the Appraisal District Board just a few weeks ago, and that's a good, nice group of people. And down here I was judging, Laterno had a Guinness Book of World Records event a couple years ago. Laterno had the most 3D printers printing at the same time, and that was the Guinness World Record. And so they had asked me to judge that day. There were myself and a couple other ones, but there were like 200 3D printers working at one time, and they were making parts. They were making parts to go to the part of Laterno that makes the prosthetic limbs that are going to Africa. Y'all remember that story a couple years ago? They make prosthetic limbs that are going to Africa. And so all these 200 teams of people were making parts for that program. Next slide, please. Israel, I don't know if you were in that picture. I know you were there that day. Israel's mama's in this picture where I got the goofy hat on. That's some of the Pine Tree campus. Pay students, and Pine Tree is about 99% of what is in Precinct 2 is most of Pine Tree. So we work very closely with Pine Tree School. We're cooking for the volleyball team up there, and then we did some cooking for the softball team too. Next slide, please. I'm proud to have gotten the endorsement of the Texas Association of Realtors here in Longview. I was proud to get that endorsement from them. I've worked closely also with, I recognized as I started this, that I had a realtor friend come to me and speak about an issue with a kind of a weird buyer that they had. And they were frightened and scared about what he had done. So I looked up about violence in the workplace and property management in real estate. And I was alarmed by how many people are killed in that line of work every year. Almost 75 people are killed in property management and real estate. It's the only job where it's totally normal to meet a stranger in an empty house. And you think about that. It's totally normal to meet a stranger in an empty house. And so when I saw that those numbers were staggering, I developed a situational awareness class for real estate and property management. And so I'm continuing to try to do what I can to share the knowledge that I have about things that they might do to be safer. Now, I know there's a lot of real estate people here, and I've had the chance. This was at Julie Wood's office. I've had the chance not only to meet with the realtors about this situational awareness, and then I've gone to about 4 or 5 different real estate offices throughout Longview. Next slide, please. The Housing Authority, not only the landlord workshop, but we have a tenant workshop too at the Longview Housing Authority. Next slide, please. And then the Apartment Association, I'm very active with them as well, again, to make sure not only that I'm transparent for them to approach me if they need something, but also to make sure that they're knowledgeable in what the laws are and what they can do and what they can't do. Next slide, please. I work a lot with the ambassadors from the Chamber of Commerce. I've worked for many, many years, even at the sheriff's office. We all had to do it, but the Christmas at the courthouse, I think, is a great event. I don't know if y'all have ever been there. Pine Tree and Spring Hill with truancies. We work a lot with them. The Longview PD Explorers. Next slide, please. Here's some of the things that I'm a member of. I'm the Veterans Foundation. Have y'all been out to Teague Park lately? Teague Park has really transformed over the past 5 years, and it's because of this Veterans Recognition Foundation. Some of the monuments are just gorgeous out there. You really ought to go out there if you can. I'm a vice president out at the Rifle and Pistol Club. I'm on the Gregg County Family Violence Fatality Review Team. I'm a chairman there, and I'm a life member of the East Texas JP and Consul Association, and a member of the State Association. I'm a board member of Crime Stoppers, and then I'm on the Gregg County Bail Bond Board. Next slide, please. We're right next to the Highway Rescue Mission, so that's me there serving some lunch on Veterans Day. They always have a big Veterans Day program. The Pine Tree Jazz Band goes, and I sing a couple songs with them, and we have a good time feeding the veterans right there. So, and then below is out at the Pace campus in the Pine Tree area. That's where Israel's mother is the principal out there. So we work closely with them. And then I was over in Hallsville for a veterans event. Next slide, please. These are just some Chamber of Commerce pictures about grand openings that occur in our city. I think it's very important to support people when they want to bring their money into Longview. And so that's something I pride myself in doing and being supportive with that. Next slide, please. Christmas at the courthouse, again, there's Judge Stout and the commissioners do an amazing job. They have earmarked money every year for that, budgeted for it. A lot of the inmate, you can see the inmate in one of those shots on that slide. The inmates come out, some of the trustees will work it, and they have as much fun as the kids do. And there's a lot of people, I think, in Longview that may not have, a lot of kids that may not have a celebration of Christmas, but for this event. So I think that that's a really good thing to do. Next slide, please. And this is a couple years ago when I got my 15-year service award from Judge Stout. Next slide. And I think that's it. That's my address and phone number. If there's something I can do for you, I'm in the Rock Building, like I said, on Highway 80. If you come to get your tags and you want to come check on me and tell me what you think, or you want to sit and visit, I'd be glad to. Coffee usually is on, so if not, we can make some. So with that, does anybody have any questions? How many of you learned something that you didn't know? That's good. How many of you glad to just shut up? I appreciate your time. I'll hang around for a little while. I'll be glad to visit with anybody about anything that you need or have a question about. I don't know all the answers, but I know people who do. And so I'm a servant of you, and I'm proud to be that. And so anything I can do to help you or whatever I need to do, please feel free to call me. Thank you.
I really appreciate the judge for his time and let us know some insights about Justice Court. I didn't know about the 90% caseload thing. That really should tell you a lot right there. So I do live in Precinct 2, so he is my JP, and hopefully the only time I have to see him is when I'm at events like this, as opposed to at 3 a.m. in the morning if there's some issue. Big old knock on the wood right there. We're going to go ahead and close the formal portion of the meeting. Everyone, please do feel free to hang out for a while and come and speak to the judge or to Rebekah or Jose and get your questions answered there about that. Just a reminder, if you're not on our email list, if you'd like to do so, we have 2 places you can sign up. Also, check out our information table in the back. We have candidate information. We have some other books and things that have been donated. Feel free to take any of that. If it's on the table, it's free for the taking. And also our donation boxes, of course. We would appreciate any help there. And with that, we will see everyone next month. Again, the first Monday of the month, right here, same time, same place. You have a great evening.